Okay, so this morning, last week, I wanted to talk about, the different types. There are different types of scripture, different types of the Lord as well. And so where the Lord is shown in the Old Testament, he shows himself in the new, through Jesus. And so I wanted to take a look at what was in the past, because that's how we understand who God really is, and how he fulfills himself in the new. And so in the new, there's so many ways that God reveals himself. And in the Old Testament, as we looked at before, we looked at Adam, the first Adam, and then Jesus, of course, is the second Adam. And then I wanted to look at Noah. Also wanted to look at Melchizedek, and then there's Joseph. So there's many different people in the Old Testament that shows us a glimpse of who God really is. And so God always wants to reveal himself to us. And that's his desire, that we would come to know who he is. And so in that, there's so much to learn. And just doing it in Sunday morning is not going to necessarily give us all the details, as I would love to share. And I have talked about these in the past. So there are past teachings on it that are much longer. But for today, I want to look at Melchizedek. So Melchizedek, you may remember, comes in when we read the story of Abraham. Now, Abraham had gone out to free his nephew Lot and his family that had been taken captive. And so he went, and he was able to bring back the captives. He was able to set Lot free and bring back the captive. And when he's coming back home, he is met by this man in the wilderness. And he recognizes him to be a priest of the Most High God. So Abraham recognizes him. He hasn't been introduced to this man, but there's something about this man that he recognizes. And so he recognizes this to be someone very, very, very special. And his name is Melchizedek. And it says that he was the prince of Salem. Now, Salem is Jerusalem. And Salem means peace. And this king, this priest, was from Salem. And it says that he did not have any parents. So there was no lineage attached to him. And so when Abraham meets this man, he offers him 10% of all the loot that he has taken from freeing Lot and his family. He gives him 10%. That is a king's reward, so to speak. And so he gives it to him. And Melchizedek, he blesses Abraham. He blesses him. And he blesses him with a prayer that all of his descendants would be blessed because of him. And so when Melchizedek invites Abraham to come and sit with him, he offers him bread and wine. That in itself is very telltale, isn't it, about communion, but it's also about what Jesus did for us on the cross. And here is Abraham. And Abraham is giving from the abundance of his heart, his desire to bless this man. And he's not giving it because he was asked, but because he wanted to. It just came out of him very naturally to want to give to this man that he met in the wilderness. And this man offered him something to eat and to drink. There's this connection that takes place between the two that you wouldn't necessarily see when you've just been out fighting. Because who knows who you're going to see in the wilderness, right? Could be another enemy. But not with God. God provided for Abraham a man, a type. So when I say a type, I mean someone that's representative of. So in our relationship with God the Father, we see that he also provides for us. He provides for us continually. That is his heart, is to provide for us continually. It's not about demanding something from us before we're blessed. It's because he wants this relationship with us. And so he comes and he shows up in the middle of nowhere to bless Abraham. And Abraham's first response is to honor him. Now, if we remember, Melchizedek, the order of Melchizedek is actually the order that is much higher than the order of the Levitical order. So, and that had not even been started when Abraham was around. That only comes with Moses, when God set it up so that the Levites, their job would be to serve the Lord in his house. And from there on in, it would always be a Levite that would stand in the position of a high priest. But this Melchizedek supersedes that order. Way above, even before the Levitical order came into place, the order of Melchizedek existed. And so Melchizedek, the name itself means the king of righteousness. Now, who do we know who is the king of righteousness? Jesus is the king of righteousness. Jesus is also the prince of peace. So this Melchizedek is a reference, is a type of Jesus to come. Because after the Levitical order ended, the order of Jesus Christ, the Melchizedek order, began. Because Melchizedek had no beginning and had no end, which is what God has. He has no beginning and he has no end. God always has been and will always be. Yes, he came as a man, but he came to fulfill that which had been ordained right from the very beginning. Because God had a plan right from the very beginning. It was not a second plan that he had. He knew exactly what needed to happen when he first created. And so God, in his divine kindness, compassion, sent Jesus so that he would become the Prince of Peace once and for all, the King of righteousness, the one that would provide a way for all of mankind to be redeemed once and for all. By his sacrifice on the cross, he redeemed us. Just like Abraham was able to go and set Lot free. So Jesus came to set mankind free once and for all. He offered up himself as that sacrifice once and for all. And so Jesus came from the order of Melchizedek, right from the very, very beginning, because he is God once and for all. And so not only is he the most high God, not only is he of the princely descendant of God Almighty. Not only is he the Prince of Peace, but he is the King over all. He is the ruler of Salem, which is Jerusalem, which is where he will always continue to rule, right? Because one day we're going to have a new Jerusalem, and a new Jerusalem is going to come down, and God, who is already ruler of the whole universe, will also reign in New Jerusalem as well. And so God has provided every spiritual blessing to each one of us, just like Melchizedek gave this blessing to Abraham. So God provides a blessing to each and every single one of us. So maybe we need to think about what are some of the spiritual blessings that God has already given to us. Now, when he was blessing Abraham, he said, Abraham and all of his descendants would be blessed. When he blesses us, we fall under that order, yes. But what are some of the spiritual blessings that God has blessed you with that perhaps you haven't been thinking about lately? Maybe there's something that God has already been trying to draw your attention to, and because of the busyness of our lives and because we get caught up in everyday living, we don't tend to think about it as much. But what is it that God has blessed you with that perhaps you've forgotten? Maybe there's something that God has invested into you that you haven't thought about in a long time. Perhaps when you first came to know who Jesus was, your heart was so full, and there was this fire that was ignited inside of you. And you wanted to serve him and honor him. And maybe there was a plan and a purpose that came to the forefront of your heart because your passion was lit. And maybe God really anointed that. But as life has gone on, perhaps you've lost some of that fire. And you've lost some of that excitement and passion. I don't think we're ever supposed to lose our passion for the Lord. He loves us so much, and our desire should be to honor him and to bless him and to do the things that he's called us to do. Because usually the passions that you have in your heart and your spirit are the ones that God put there. And I know as we get older or as we think about, life has gone by and now I'm a little older or my kids are all grown up or I've retired or whatever it might be, all kinds of reasons come to the forefront of our mind why we don't pursue the passion that we once had. And really, in God, you don't have to be a certain age.
True.
And in God, you don't have to be, of certain education or background. It doesn't really matter to him. He chooses the ones that other people don't think are going to make it. But when you have a heart and a passion to pursue him, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what kind of education you have, it doesn't matter if you have practiced something over and over and over and over again or not. But are you willing? Are you willing? So, Moses at 80, Caleb, Joshua, they all started later on in life. Jesus was actually very young. Sometimes there are children that are serving the Lord simply because they can't help it. They just want to honor him. And that is the heart of God. And no matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, what you have been through, it doesn't really matter. Because he has a plan and a purpose for our lives. And yes, he uses people in the Old Testament. He uses people in our lives today to draw our attention back to him. But he doesn't want to just continue to use other people to drive your attention. He wants to have this relationship with you where you can't help but love him and serve him and honor him and give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to actually walk into the things that he has called you to do. So wherever it is. So if you're retired and you think, okay, I'm retired now, I'll just do things for fun because, now I have time to do some fun things. Well, maybe part of that fun thing that you really want to do is part of God's plan for you. Think of it like that. So when you do it as if unto the Lord. What is he calling you to do? within your family, within a new setting, perhaps here, perhaps in the community. What is it that he's calling you to do? And are you responding to him in a way that Abraham responded to Melchizedek? He didn't question him, he didn't check him out, so to speak. He didn't say, I don't know if I trust you or not. How do I know that that bread and that wine you want to give me isn't really poison? Didn't even cross his mind. He just recognized this man to be a man of God. In essence, it was God. And he responded with his heart. He responded with joy. He responded with generosity. He responded because something about this man could be recognized to be God drew him. It drew that out of him. It drew it out of him in a way that he had not expected. So much so that he gave 10%. Everything that he got. So that's what I want to encourage us to think about this relationship that we have with God. Is it just something that we do on a Sunday morning? Is it just something that maybe we have a devotional life? Maybe we get up in the morning and maybe we do spend time with him. And maybe we are interceding. And maybe we are doing all kinds of things that we're supposed to be doing. But are you doing it because you're supposed to be doing it? Or are you doing it because you can't help but? You want to do it. Comes out of you as a desire, passion on the inside. I remember when I was young, little, and we had always been in the habit of spending time in the evening. We always had a Bible study at home, and we always prayed. And when we went to bed, so my brother was 2 years younger than I was, and so I would read him the Bible before we went to bed. And if for some reason, I don't know, but I do remember this, if for some reason I fell asleep and I hadn't prayed, I would get up in the middle of the night because I hadn't prayed. Like what little girl thinks about, I didn't pray, so I better pray now. Well, there's something on the inside of me that wanted that connection with the Lord. And because I had missed it, I did something about it. And so I think little children have this sense on the inside of them, this closeness with the Lord, this desire to be with Him. And sometimes we lose it as we get older. But I think we need to pursue it with our whole heart. Not pursue it because I must. Because if I don't, then I'm not going to reap the benefit. No, I must because I want to, because I desire to, because I can't stand the fact that I haven't touched base with it that day. Or I just need, you just need that that sense of peace, that sense of compassion, that rest that comes only from Him. And so we give to the Lord out of the abundance of what He has poured into us already. And so I want to encourage us that even though, we may take topics here, there, and everywhere, the whole idea behind a topic is not to talk about the topic, but it's to talk about the relationship that we have with the Lord. How can we know more about Him? How can we pursue Him? And in the weeks to come, I really want to be talking about some of God's peace. God's peace, not man-made peace, but God's peace, because He has ordained peace so that we will come to know Him better, because He always desires for us to know Him more. And things sometimes seem to be hidden. But when we have eyes to see, we will see. And when God brings revelation, He brings revelation. And so next week, I want to start talking about some of the feasts. The feast, actually, we're going to be celebrating next week is going to be the Feast of Trumpets. And so, Feast of Trumpets. No, there's just so much to be said about that, so I'm not going to give it all away. Although I've talked about it for the last almost 30 years now, but we want to talk about it again and again and again and again and again, because that is God's heart for us, so that He can bring His revelation to us, so that we can know Him more, so that we understand. Because He doesn't, we are His friends. He doesn't want to keep anything from us. He wants to show us, bring fresh revelation. And when we know more, we understand His heart. He is still to come. He is coming again. And the trumpet is going to sound. So next week I will begin to talk about, well, actually it's the fourth feast, but I will tell you all about it next week, so you don't get too confused with this week. But I encourage you to just allow the Lord to bring forth to the forefront in your spirit that passion that you once had for Him, that passion that He has for you, and the passion that will give you all that your heart desires, peace that passes understanding, because He is the Prince of Peace. And so thank you for listening, and I pray that you will be blessed in your time with the Lord, that you will be reignited in this heartfelt desire to serve Him and to know Him and to be loved by Him more than you've ever been by anyone else. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Amen.